Let's Rap, an InfoSound presentation focusing on youth, giving young people an opportunity to express their views on issues that affect them. Let's Rap.
We don't get the picture. That's why we destroy Mother Nature.
Good day, listeners, and welcome to Let's Rap. Today we'll have St. Mary's College giving their presentation. Our general topic today is the investigation of pollution in the Beetham estate area with regards to solid waste disposal, as well as the emissions of the internal combustion engines in automobiles in the Port of Spain area. Our panel today hails, as I said before, from St. Mary's College, and we are students of Lower 6th Science. Fellas, maybe you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Good day, listeners. My name is Kian Jackman.
Lama Ramban.
Marlon Timothy.
Mark Brewster.
Anil Ramlogan.
Luke Smith.
Rohan Ramrup.
And I am Keelan O'Brien, your moderator for today's sensational panel discussion.
There's a pain in my heart for me children. Scarlet Ibis don't start to flee since we pollute the Caroline. And the highway dead cause they cut down the pink tree. You see, so the rivers wouldn't have fish. We just picnic and throw rubbish. Even the mountains we rent leaving nothing.
Now Ronan, I'm coming to you with my first question. What I want to find out is, what is the reason for this topic? What is the main intention for the project?
Pollution is a world issue that affects everyone, and we're even beginning to see it here in Trinidad with the smog that is hanging over Port of Spain every morning. We first saw this smog and we were curious about it, and after some research we discovered some very startling things about pollution in Trinidad and Port of Spain, and in particular the Beetham area. We have decided that it is our social responsibility to share what we have learned with the general public.
In other words, you wanted to educate the public or
Yeah,
something.
we wanted to just, get it out because no one really knows.
Alright.
Probably we could even get some positive action to help alleviate the problem.
Yeah, okay. What I want to find out is, what has triggered the reaction? What initiated your concern, Keon, what happened there?
Well, basically, as most people that travel to Port of Spain on mornings, when see this dense smoke is hanging over Port of Spain. I mean, when you're driving along the Beetham highway, when you're coming close to Lava.
That's true, the scent alone, let's get you.
Blind people know everything.
I mean, it knows as we breathe in as you're going down it's self-explanatory, so it's that basically that started off this entire thing.
Basically, yeah.
Alright, I want someone to explain the general cause of the smog. I mean, in Trinidad, we always hear about global warming, and the greenhouse effect. Can you explain the meaning of these terms? Ronan, can you tell us exactly what it is?
Some of the things formed by burning petrol in cars is our gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and the nitrous oxides.
Alright.
When these gases are emitted into the atmosphere in the exhaust of the vehicles, they form a blanket or a layer around the earth, and this blanket serves to trap heat. But what happens is during the day, the earth is heated up, and during the night this heat is re-radiated and it should go into outer space.
Supposed to go back out from the earth?
Yeah.
Alright.
But what happens is this layer of gas absorbs the heat and then radiates it back toward the earth. So the heat is trapped up and we have global warming.
Like a blanket.
Like in an oven. The oven is
are the gases themselves, that's the blanket. Alright. This is fine. But tell me, how does this deal with Trinidad as an individual country? I know Keon, again, you have ideas on that with regards to smog and stuff. How does it deal with us?
Well, like you see, the smog is hanging over Port of Spain. Now most people wonder, well, why doesn't it just go off somewhere? Why does it stay here?
Yeah, why bothering us,
Exactly. Well, firstly, the main constituents of the smog are gases from like Ronan said, the internal combustion engine.
Right.
But they also have poisonous gases from the smelting of copper in the Beetham area. Now people in the Beetham area trying to make a living for themselves. They smelt copper wires to get the copper to sell it. But in doing so, they don't strip the rubber insulation of it. So they burn in the rubber and there are gases.
The gases coming off from that.
Right.
How about this? The lavas always getting burned. That all contributed to?
Well, obviously. Alright. Now, the reason for the smoke, there are two main systems which operate, well, weather systems that operate in the Port Spain area that are responsible for the smoke staying there. These are the sea breezes and inversion level.
Alright, we see. Alright, well, maybe you could expand upon it. I don't know. I mean, exactly what is going on with these two situations.
Well, firstly, I'll deal with the less significant one. Right, this is the sea breeze. Now, what you have is the land heating up faster than the water. Right, so you have the air above the land heating up and rising.
Right.
As simple physics will tell you, warm air rises.
Alright,
right?
yeah, hot air rises, right.
So basically what you have is a vacuum. Then the cooler air above the water will flow inwards to fill this vacuum. Right, and with that you have a breeze. Now the strength and the effect of this breeze on, well, the land and stuff depends on the trade winds. Now the trade winds blow in the opposite direction to the sea breeze. Right? Now where the sea breeze and the trade winds meet is known as the convergence zone.
Basically where the trade winds and the sea breeze come together. Alright.
Now based on this, the lava so is placed where it is, so that because generally the convergence zone forms out somewhere out in the Gulf of Paria.
Right.
And what you have is the trade winds blowing the scent and all the stuff downwind of all industrial and residential areas out into the ocean where nobody bothering anybody.
Yeah, wouldn't it bother, the fish and pollute the water out there?
Well, thinking about it, logically it should, but I mean,
We are more concerned about ourselves and the ecosystem.
Yeah, because it should dissolve into the water.
exactly. Well, be that as it may. Right. Now, what you have is, normally this is the normal situation. However, it has been proven that 3% of the time, this convergence zone is formed inland. For example, by a study done by Mr. John Jackman, former director of the meteorological office at Piaco and meteorologist himself. He has seen where this convergence zone forms inland 3% anyway. Now,
3% of the time at any year you have this convergence zone overland when it's supposed to be out in the sea.
yeah.
Alright.
Now, 3% might sound like a little bit.
Yeah, it's somewhat small, it's small. 2%.
Yeah, but still, the fact that you have that occurring, you have particles being blown towards Port Spain and heavier particles being deposited in the Port Spain area. Now, these particles accumulate, and after a couple of years, I mean, they must start to take effect on the people in the area and etc.
Yeah, and it'll have different effects on people right through. Because we smell it when we come into town.
Exactly.
It's there, right? We spoke about the sea breezes. I know the other thing, the inversion level. Would you like to expand upon that, please?
Alright, now the inversion level is a kind of complex thing. Alright, so what I'll basically do is just give a general overview of what happens.
Right, that's cool.
Right. At night, what you have is the land losing heat faster than the air above it.
Alright.
Right? So you have the temperature increasing with gradient in height, up to a certain level. This level is known as the inversion level, right? Now above that, you have the temperature decreasing with altitude as it normally should.
Alright.
Right? Now, with the presence of this inversion level, right, gases which normally rise up, these are gases from burning stuff in lavas, copper smelting.
The same gases from the cars, everything, right?
Yeah. Basically, in the evening period, early morning, you have these gases rising up in the atmosphere. Now, when they reach the inversion level, right, basically what you have is these gases, they don't have enough energy to penetrate the level, so they are forced to spread out.
So basically, the trap there. The trap under the inversion level, you said, right?
Yeah.
And forced to spread out.
How far would they spread out? Like over what distance? So
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Roland have the idea.
Or what? Well, it will depend on how far the inversion level stretches, right? But obviously, well, sorry, for example, it could reach as far as, say, Vigo Martin. But the intensity of the smog in Vigo Martin wouldn't be as high as in Port of Spain because you have fallout, because you have your particles being deposited in the Beetham area, Southie area. Like
so
that.
we have is burning in the Port of Spain area affecting people all the way down to Diego Martin.
Quite a Diego Martin. I mean, if you look at it, the same Piaco as well, how much of a distance away from Port of Spain, the Piaco getting affected by that too?
Possibly, yeah.
Right, true. I mean, that's serious stuff. I mean, but then so serious things, man. Before you was talking, you say, you know, the sea breezes and the trade winds cause the gases to converge and heavier particles fall to the ground.
Yeah.
What kind of pollution exactly it is we dealing with when these particles fall back down to the ground?
Well, my colleague Vamo, he did some research into that.
Farmer, you more into that heavy part. Alright, well, Farmer, you could talk. Tell us.
Okay then, pollution occurs after the burning, okay?
Yeah.
Now what happens is toxic sediments that we classify as dioxins and cadmiums fall back to the ground and are buried in the cemeteries, well, what we call landfills, okay?
Alright.
Now, what we are led to believe is that when they are buried, they are put away forever, never heard of again, okay? But that's not true. Because when rain falls, it percolates the layers of the earth, picks up these chemicals and goes further down with it, okay?
Alright, yeah.
Now these toxic chemicals enter an underground reservoir of water beneath the earth, okay?
Yeah.
And authorities say that, well, as it's down there, it doesn't really matter to us, okay? Because aquifers being tapped in the savannah area.
That's like the wells. The
Yeah.
wells that you see
The
down in
artisanal.
Savannah, right?
That's right. They are a great distance away from this.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is that what we have found, okay, is that if this water reservoir, okay, were to rise, that is due to, say, torrential rains, okay, seepage would occur. And that would go into the aquifers being tapped, and we are distributing this water now to all residents in the Port of Spain district.
So people in Port of Spain being affected by burying of stuff quite down in Lavas.
That's right.
It's kind of like saying Diego Martin is far from Beetham, so they wouldn't get any of the gases, but they are.
Does occur.
Just the same thing.
Now listen to this. The toxicity of the water right now is kind of low.
Alright.
But so everyone will say, all right, that's in years to come, and then you'll take care of it. But something has to happen now to stop this.
I mean, the effect in years to come will be too great.
Exactly, accumulation. So we actually putting ourselves in a serious case going on here, and something has to be done to stop it, okay, before we actually reach there, okay, and it can be done.
Alright, you say we put ourselves at risk. That is health. One time, I'm going straight to Mark, because I know you have information on that. How is this smog affecting the health of people in the area and people passing through the area?
Right, okay, thanks, Keelan. The smog which has been described by my colleague, Keelan, results in severe eye irritations, and further studies into the matter indicate that it also possesses a certain problem, like when people increases their susceptibility to catching like the common cold and the flu and viruses.
So, well, alright, basically, I mean, your eyes get more eye diseases, like, you know, when your eyes red and the burning and the water, and you know, you're more congested because you have problems breathing, therefore the cold come in and stuff, alright?
Yeah, it also leads to certain diseases such as diseases of the heart and blood vessels, chronic lung conditions, and overactive thyroid.
Overactive thyroid, exactly what is this thyroid you're talking about? I mean, let me get an explanation.
Well, the thyroid gland is something that produces hormones in the body, chemicals that help you to grow and stuff normally. So when he says they affect the thyroid, it causes abnormal growth.
Alright, thanks a lot, Roland. Thanks a lot, man. Mark, man. Keep on your toes. Yeah. Wow. What happened is, okay, what else? What other health aspects are we looking at? What are health dangers
well, it also affects the brain and like the muscles, because it improves on our immune system.
I mean, all of this stuff happening just because of this smog. That, these things burning and everybody just think it's just there happening. They've been affecting the whole area, Port of Spain. It's affecting quite a big amount. I mean,
it affects people also who come in there, like driving and stuff.
Yeah,
driving and out, and get affected.
So I mean, we have like the asthma, bronchitis, people, not breathing properly and stuff. I mean, even like anemia, which is a kind of like starving of yourself, of your cells in your body of oxygen, which they need to live. I mean, this is serious. I mean, are you finding so, fellas?
Yeah, real serious.
Right. What I want to find out also is coming on the highway, right? I know I see this river piled with garbage. I mean, plastic bottles and glass bottles and slippers floating on the top and
Black silk.
yes, silk and
Where was that river boy?
Like you could walk on
Like
it.
a room.
yeah, like you could walk on it. I mean, how does tie in with the topic at hand with the situation that we're talking about right now?
Okay. Well, Kilan, if one were to look at a map of Trinidad, okay, you would see that our northern mountain range runs along our coastline.
Yeah.
And that would imply rapid water runoff when rains falls, okay?
Yeah.
Now, this rapid water, flowing water, would give a geological landform that we call a gorge, okay? That is a narrow cross-section, fast-flowing water.
A fast river. Basically, alright, fine.
Now, say for instance, someone in a residential area, in this case, Lavantil, they wake up in the morning,
right on the hill there, yeah,
right, and it so happens that that is the source of this river.
Oh, yeah.
Wakes up in the morning, said, shucks, garbage truck just passed. What am I going to do with this garbage? Well, into the river it goes, because he knows very well that this fast-flowing water is going to wash it straight out of his life.
I mean, it's true he is seeing that again, so.
Yeah. He doesn't, but other people will, and I'll show you why. The mouth of this river ends up in the Beetham estate, and what happens here is that there's a drop in the river gradient, okay? It gives another geological landform that we classify as a penny plain. That is a sluggish moving river.
So,
Active deposition takes place here.
the first way I had was the fast flowing river going real fast, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Bam! And it going slow and sluggish. And
That's right. And
Alright.
all the silt, the black silt, hence the name,
The Black River.
that's right. The black silt, as well as the liquor, is deposited. So what you see every morning is years upon years of this silt being up and up.
years upon years of man's irresponsibility.
Has the government ever tried to clean it up or anything like that?
Well, 2 weeks ago there was a bill passed, and the southern part of the river, well, you could say the carpet was removed. Okay, that was the tins and all of that. But when we went to do some filming in one of our Nihos projects, okay, what we saw was that that gases were actually being belched out of this water, okay? Putrid gases. Everybody had their fingers on their noses because it really stank.
Yeah, it was.
Okay?
It was smelling real bad.
Alright.
Now, here's some statistics. Now, this river flows into the mangrove, and as the Wildfowl Trust put it in their annual reports from last year, 6% of the Earth's land is capable of growing crops to support human life. That includes mangroves.
Alright.
And nearly the 6% is being destroyed thanks to man's neglect for his environment.
Responsibility, that's the only word I could come up with. Irresponsible behavior. I mean,
Now,
that's bad.
the water pollution doesn't stop there, friends. There's another type, and that's the sewage plant. Okay? Our so-called well-maintained sewage plant
Yeah, I've heard there's a story to that,
isn't as well-maintained as it would seem. Let me tell you.
Well, where the sewage plant is exactly?
It's right in the waste disposal plant in the landfills. The landfills right there.
Oh, down the back.
Yep. Down in the back, behind where God's back, as we would put it. Now folks, let me tell you a little story. In 1964, a sewage lagoon was opened by the government of Trinidad and Tobago with the sole intention that every 10 years that lagoon would be treated.
Right.
1994, that was last year, would make it 30 years that lagoon was opened. And it has never been treated once.
Never.
Never.
So what is happening to all this waste?
I had to sit down for the 30 years. The thing clean once.
No, well, there's more numbers to go with that. Statistics show that 6 to 10 million gallons of sewage comes from the Port of Spain district daily and goes into that sewage lagoon.
That's a lot of waste.
6 to 10 million gallons
Every day.
waste every day for the last 30 years that have not been cleaned.
That's right.
But that's from Port of Spain only.
That's from Port of Spain only.
So what about the rest of the country? Just imagine that.
Where what happens to sewage after that point?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll come to that. The sewage is seeped into the mangrove area, okay? Mangroves are what we consider ecosystems, whereby there's an interdependence of life.
Wait, let me just recap. What you're saying is the same sewage going into the mangrove,
That's right.
the same little ecosystem we were talking about before.
Sewage causes eutrophication, which is the destruction of our water supply by unwanted algae growth.
Alright.
To someone passing by, it would seem, green life, that's nice.
Yeah,
right?
nice little green bubbles and stuff.
The plants use oxygen, as we all know. And I'll show you, I talked about the interdependence life, I'll show you how we destroy it. Algae grows, oxygen is used. There's a depletion in oxygen content. Sport fishes like snapper and other types of fishes come to the mangrove to spawn. Their fingerlings hatch, and birds now which come to feed in the mangrove and lay their eggs feed off these little birds and out of these little fish. Okay? Now think about it. No oxygen, no big fish. No big fish, no little fish. No little fish, no birds. Hence the domino effect.
An entire chain of creatures that could be there living, having happy lives gone because of this pollution.
And then there's another thing. We all know aware of the Trinidad's favorite dish, oysters.
Love oysters.
Well, as recently we all knew about the cholera epidemic in
And had a
Trinidad.
ban on them or something like that.
Right. They zeroed down the vector to the oyster. So everything was put on the blame to the oyster. Okay, oyster vendors were shunned. Okay.
Alright.
So because of that, we were actually destroying and stopping a livelihood through our humans, through our fellow human beings.
So basically is the oysters what do they do? They feed off the pollution in the water.
Oysters are classified as mollusks.
Yeah.
The way how mollusks feed is that they sieve the water, okay, and retain the sediments. So when these oysters were tested, they were found to have high concentrations of sewage in them.
Oh,
So wait
yuck, man.
when you buy oysters, you actually eating sewage.
Yep, that was probably Sunday's dinner.
Wait a minute. Look, didn't they just left the ban on oysters
they
a few
did.
days ago?
A couple of weeks ago.
So I don't know, there's a whole tie-in thing. I mean, man's irresponsibility, this sewage plant not being cleaned. I mean, everything tied in, the destruction of the environment, all of this caused by man's irresponsibility.
That's right.
I mean, this is preposterous, just to say the least. I mean, this is bad.
And something has to be done about it.
Something has to be done. I know you guys are eager to go on with the discussion, but it seems that we've run out of time for this week. And, you have to come back next week to finish this discussion about the environment because, something has to be done. I know. Once again, I'd like to introduce the panel. Guys, you did a great job last time. Introduce yourself again.
Alright. My name is Kieran Jackman.
Paramarambaran.
Marlon Timothy.
Mark Booster.
Anna Ramlubin. Luke Smith.
Roland Ramru.
Right, and I'm Keelan O'Brien, your moderator, and we'll be back next week with the continuation of the St. Mary's College presentation. And let's wrap.
No, we don't get the picture. That's why we destroy Mother Nature. But these things don't belong to us. We only hold them in trust. And to pass them on is a must. But close investigation shows we rape this little nation. That's why I'm afraid for the coming generation.
Let's Rap, giving young people an opportunity to express their views on issues that affect them. Let's Rap, an InfoSound presentation. opportunity to express their views on issues that affect them. Let's
get the picture. That's why we destroy Mother Nature. But these things don't belong to us. We only hold them in trust, and to pass them on is a must.
Good day, listeners, and welcome to Let's Rap. Today we have the continuation of the St. Mary's College presentation on the investigation of the pollution in the Beetham estate area with regards to solid waste disposal, as well as the emissions of the internal combustion engines in automobiles in the Port of Spain area. Our panel is from Lower 6 Science, and they are, guys, introduce yourself.
Keon Jackman,
Ramban,
Manan Timothy,
Mark Brewster.
Arnold Ramlogan, Luke Smith,
Roland Ramu.
And I am Keelan O'Brien, your moderator for today's program.
There's a pain in my heart for me children. Scarlet ibis don't start to flee since we pollute the Caroline. And the highway dead cause they cut down the pink weed. You see, soon the rivers won't have fish. We just picnic and throw rubbish. Even the mountains we rent, leaving nothing for the children.
Just to recap, last week we had Ronan speaking on general global pollution problems. We also had Keon Jackman talking about the presence of the smog in Trinidad and the pollution and its widespread effect on the Port of Spain area. We saw, in fact, we heard from Mark Brewster, who spoke about the health effects the pollution has on people living in the area, and we also heard from Farmer Rembrandt, who spoke about the effects of the smog on the ground, or rather underground in the water supply, as well as the very hot topic of the pollution of the mangrove swamp by the sewage and the people who dump garbage from the Laventille area. Now, in continuing, I'm going to ask, I know recently the Environment Management Bill has been passed. What I want to know is, what else is being done? What else can be done to solve these problems? Ronan, in terms of general solutions, what can we look at?
Thank you, Keelan. First, I'd like to give you a few statistics to impress upon you the urgency of the problem.
All right, sure.
Only between 1 and 2 parts in 10,000 greenhouse gases. Those are gases that trap heat. 1 or 2 parts in 10,000.
Also, like 1 out of or 2 out of 10,000 parts of the atmosphere.
The atmosphere, the total volume of the atmosphere.
Are the greenhouse gases?
Yes.
That's a little bit.
But if we did not have that part, the temperature, the average global temperature, would be negative 18 degrees Celsius. But the actual average global temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. So what we have is this small volume, 1 or 2 parts in 10,000, actually heating up the earth by 33 degrees Celsius.
This little bit of gas causing this such a great increase in temperature.
Yes.
That's what keeping the temperature as it is now.
Yes.
And what you're saying is that these gases increasing.
We are spewing gas into the atmosphere at a rate of about 5 billion tons, probably more, per day.
yeah.
Per day.
I mean,
So,
if this is happening, you say 1 or 2 out of 10,000 is causing a 33-degree increase.
in temperature.
If one more happen, well, we have temperature increasing greatly again.
Yes, that is why we might think it's not such a severe problem. We're not putting that much gas into the atmosphere. But really, every little bit counts. And global warming is a dangerous thing because it could lead to things like rising sea levels because our polar ice caps are going to melt. We're going to lose a lot of agricultural produce because rainfall patterns and such will change because temperature changes.
Yeah.
And that will lead eventually to the extinction of many plant and animal species, probably including us.
We were seeing from about sea level. Trinidad is a reasonably
low place.
So what happened to Trinidad?
Until with the capital, what
You will
else?
think.
I mean, you know what is happening when rain fall, the whole place flood. For the Spain flooding here, flooding there, flooding. I mean, if the ice caps melt, Trinidad will sink.
The estimated rise is about 6 meters.
Fellas, like this serious, man. You know, people will die. Real people will lose their lives because of what's going on in this environment now. You know?
I mean, Port of Spain already on reclaimed land.
I mean, that's horrible. You know, that's horrible. And what else? What else should we look for?
Well, total solutions to this problem is not going to work. We can't just like wake up tomorrow morning and say, well, let's stop using the car, because that's something that permeates society.
Alright, yeah, they're right true.
So a more realistic plan would be to implement partial solutions, such as new legislation and new technologies. I think
basically it have no magic wonder, no magic one solution to these problems. All they have to do is try and, you know, solve them bit by bit, piece by piece. There, each person do his own little part.
yeah, so we should implement new legislation so that new standards for CO2 emission would start. Yeah,
CO2, that's carbon dioxide. Right.
And new technologies so that we could cut down on the amount of CO2, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxides that we put in the atmosphere.
New little gadgets so you could probably hook up to your cars and stuff that will stop all this gas coming out. Okay, that's fine. Luke, I want to find out from you. In terms of laws, right, and prosecution of environmental offenders, you know, what can we do? What can we enact? You know, what probably has the Environment Management Committee, I believe, what have they enacted? You know, what can you enlighten us about?
Well, they're pretty much brand new for the moment, but there are a couple really simple solutions that we can put into the legislation that wouldn't force too much hardship on people, would change their lives just like a little bit to have a huge impact on the environment, as Ramu was saying. Firstly, we could charge a small fee of, say, $1 to enter Port of Spain during peak hours. Now, this would do two things. One, we would raise money so we could research and clean up pollution. And two, people wouldn't be able to, it'd be more expensive to come to work in the city, so people would carpool more often and use public transport.
That is something like toll booths.
Yeah, just like a toll booth. Right, and it would also clear up congestion for a good bit, because people would start riding in one car and cut down on the number of cars.
I mean, just because of expense, people will want to take the bus more often.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, what else?
Well, conversely, you can have tax credits to carpoolers, so that would encourage people to carpool together. Hopefully one should pay off for the other, so that there would be no net loss in government revenue.
Alright.
Yes, because economics are always an important thing.
And all this will help to decrease the amount. I mean, once the car is not using the gas is not coming out, so we help in the environment.
Yeah, save the world and make it a better place. Right. Also, now I know a lot of times you come into Port of Spain and you park up your car and you leave somebody in it and you run into the store to get whatever you want as fast as you can.
Yeah, so you're gonna come and
yeah,
take
exactly.
it away, right?
But you're leaving your car on and it's causing pollution even though it's not doing any valuable work.
That's true, you know, yes, come to think of it, when the car is running and all the exhaust coming off right there, it not only it's affecting the people right around there, plus it's going up in the atmosphere and causing all that we talked about before.
Right. So we can put a limit on the amount of time that someone can aimlessly leave their car on. Now, another thing is that a lot of people don't do, especially in third world countries, scientists aren't that involved in research into environmental issues, mostly because it's not very lucrative. You don't gain very much money. So the government could increase its spending towards research and
help out like scientists in the UE and stuff to want to research this thing more. You know, people like us who decide. You know, this thing is serious. You know,
But look, wait a minute. Going back to this thing with putting a limit on waiting to like say 5 minutes. How are you going to enact this?
Oh, well, obviously you can't have policemen walking around all over the place, but we could install parking meters to check how long the person is there.
Alright, yeah, that is true.
And going back to increased research, you might say that people in the States are doing tons of research. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on research. But the important fact is that not all of it is applicable to Trinidad. Take, for example, catalytic converters. They work fine in the States and they remove all the dangerous nitrous oxides. But because the gas in Trinidad is leaded, it completely screws up the catalytic converter, so it doesn't work in Trinidad.
A catalytic converter, that's like a little sort of gadget that makes the gases.
It's a little box that fits into the exhaust system of the car and it cuts down on all the toxic gases. It works hand in hand with the use of non-leaded gas. That's what we spoke about.
And that's another pollution problem, lead in our gas.
Thanks a lot, Marlon, for enlightening me. You know, that was good to hear. You can go ahead, Luke. What else do you have to say?
Well, a gasoline tax, which would not be particularly popular, but it would also raise revenue for research and encourage people to not use their cars as often as they normally would. Instead of driving one block, you'd rather walk it now.
Alright, yeah, simple. I mean, anything you had to spend more money, you had to watch. You had to watch a day. Let's say so, fellas. I mean, you pocket you had a card. You know, these are American solutions that you're giving me, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Any other suggestions that you have?
Well, lastly, and I think most obviously, we can have maximum emission standards for cars and companies. But under companies, there's, in the States, it was proposed a very inventive little plan. You would each company would have a specific amount of, say, nitrogen dioxide that they can produce, and that's it. But if they produce under that amount, they can sell the excess level to another company, and they can make that amount of nitrogen dioxide extra. So it encouraged companies to be more environmentally friendly.
Okay. I know the question comes to mind, you know, to me as well as the listeners is America. I mean, America is this big, rich country. You know, what the sources of laws are there that we can use, you know, to model our own environmental laws against, you know? Anna, maybe you'd like to tell us something about that. Thanks a lot. I'll look for your suggestions.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
Okay, well, other countries besides the United States have legislation on pollution. Right? For example, Japan. Japanese policemen do spot checks on the car exhaust systems. If it is found that the exhaust contains more than 5.5% of carbon monoxide by volume, if the car owner is ordered to tune up his car. Right? In Venezuela, you are only allowed to drive your car for any 6 out of the 7 days of a week.
Wow, that's a real serious problem.
How would you know when you drive your car 6 or 7 times?
Well, when I asked my tour guide in Venezuela, he told me that the policemen just knew.
Some kind of system they put in place or something, right?
Yes, I believe it is. Because if you drive for 7 days, you're fined or imprisoned.
That is serious.
Yeah, very serious.
I mean, maybe that's what we have to do, you know, to solve these problems. People not taking them on. Maybe we have to make drastic measures.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people think it's so much of an inconvenience to pay more for gasoline or not drive your car, but when you think of walking knee-deep in water all day or having to wear a pound of suntan lotion to step out of the house, I think those costs seem really minor.
Elegant suits.
Yeah, that's
the way to go.
That's very true, Luke. I mean, the concerns are great. We should address them. You know, you spoke about Japan. Japan is rich, but there are a bunch of islands. You know, basically like us. Venezuela is third world. Any other nations that you have?
Well, this Singapore, they charge an entrance fee for entering central business districts during peak hours. Right? It is currently $1.50 Singapore currency. I remember last week when talking to a neighbor's judge, when Luke suggested this idea, she said that this would be expensive and of course it would be unpopular, but if you look at it, it has reduced congestion in Singapore and lessened energy consumption by 30%.
Wow, that's a lot.
I mean, but the thing is, I mean, she's talking about it being expensive. I mean, can you put a price on human life?
Sure. No, you can't.
You can't. I mean, we have to put up something now so you can save life eventually. I mean, I mean, everybody knows that. People deserve to live. People deserve to live in a clean environment. Right? And your suggestions are highly valued. I mean, third world solutions like, I mean, they could work. The toll booth, a fee to enter Port of Spain. You'd know well, I have to drive less. I don't drive as often, I don't go into Port of Spain as often as I want to. I don't stop my car lackadaisically.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that is good. That's good.
Carpool.
Carpooling, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like Bob said.
Right. The environment management bill. I mean, you guys, like Anna, if what exactly they are doing to or maybe Luke here.
Yeah, well, really, they've made more stringent penalties on polluters, first of all. And they're new, so they haven't done anything much. But besides legislation, there are a lot of technological advances that we could use.
Alright.
A lot of new stuff that's coming up.
That's good. Look, thanks a lot. Thanks to Anna for your third world suggestions. Anything else you'd like to say, Anna?
Well, okay. Well, since this EMA has come into
the Environment Management Agency has come into existence, right?
Right. They must go about it in a certain way, right? And you must realize that regulations are inherently blunt instruments, meaning that they're non-specific, imperfect, and inefficient.
Alright, yeah.
Okay, for example, if a company is found guilty of polluting, right, that company cannot dump its waste within a specified area.
Right.
But this does not mean that they cannot dump the waste in another area.
I mean, big companies, they have their high price lawyers. They'll find a look to anywhere. I mean, you know.
Right. That was an obvious regulation, right? But in the United States, under federal law, right, if a company is found guilty of polluting, that company must clean that for pollution immediately.
All right.
Now, you may think that they should discourage potential polluters, namely the wealthy companies. But when you look at it, first of all, the companies issued a court summons to a preliminary hearing for whether or not the case should go before a federal grand jury, right?
Yeah.
Then the defense delays the preliminary hearing in order to prepare for it, right? Now, if the judge realizes that an improper investigation has been conducted, the case is dismissed. If the case is recalled, it goes before a federal grand jury, and this process takes months, even years. Now, after all this time, years and years have elapsed.
Yeah,
right?
basically they drag the whole case through court and stuff.
The pollution is still there. The pollution is still there. Haven't done anything about it.
That's true. I mean,
so slow.
it's affecting the environment still, and it's just a bunch of red tape that they incorporate into it. I mean, that's horrible.
But if one sees the regulations that if a company is found guilty of polluting, right, that company must clean the pollution, right? But this only occurs when a verdict of guilty is given.
And that's after this long period of time. I mean,
And after this time, the pollution has gotten worse and worse, and it's hard to pollute it. I mean, you may think that it will just go away if the law knows about it, but it doesn't. Okay, so therefore, designing pollution control regulations requires considerable ingenuity and technical expertise, right? Meaning that it must be thought out carefully and thoroughly,
right?
And which involves the possible consequences of it being enforced, right? As Keon said, the Labas is located where it is today because of initial planning, right? This is what is needed by the EMA in order to design pollution control regulations.
Get their scientists together, their brains together, and come up with the real solutions to these problems.
And as Keon also said, that it is not entirely feasible because over the years the winds have changed direction and blown the emissions landward.
Right? I mean, for some part of the year they stay on land and they pollute the land, the others.
Yes, and also as so look.
And that is, your suggestions are very valid. Laws should be enacted, and we should all think about exactly what is going on with regards to how we solve these problems. Get the best minds together, get scientists, get people who are studying this stuff in uni, together to get answers to these problems. We spoke about technological advances and technological devices that can be used, like the catalytic converter, which we said probably wouldn't work as well down here. But what other technologies are available to us to use? I know, Marlon, you have some information on that.
Well, as you're already aware, that Trinidad's public transport service runs on mainly diesels and gas, right? And they contribute a lot of gases to the atmosphere. So we could look at the use of alternative gases such as gasohols and like natural gas.
All right, yeah, CNG.
Just imagine,
Wishful thinking, boy.
take a bottle of rum and you fill up your car and you go.
I mean, basically that's what the gasol is, just like a combination of the gas and the alcohol.
Right.
And this will just reduce the pollution, right?
Yeah,
Or
it reduces
right.
by a substantial amount.
And the CNG, well, we always hear about that. The use CNG.
Yeah, well, the CNG is environmental friendly, as you all know.
Right.
It emits less gas into the environment, so that we could
cut down on the amount of pollution. The way it's saying it is like if this thing have real advantages, why no? It have disadvantages to almost anything that we could propose. What disadvantages does CNG pose to us?
Well, at this point in time, a CNG engine costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we could probably ask the government to
Subsidize it.
How much? Anyway, we all know the actual price. I mean,
roughly $78,000 for a
that's a
six-cylinder engine.
That's a lot. Yeah, maybe the government could help out,
All these
reduce the
taxes that I
cost.
mentioned, they could.
That's true. Look, all the taxes and stuff that we collect, we could use that, subsidize it, get more CNG tanks into cars.
But if one were to look at it, right, at the moment, the cost of installing it would have been high, but the long-term cost that buying gas and he would have made back that money and eventually started to save.
That's true. That's true, Varma. Thanks a lot for your suggestion. Any other things you can say, Marlon?
Well, as we spoke about the catalytic converters already, which go hand in hand with the use of non-leaded gas, right?
Yeah.
Well, when we use leaded gas, they emit lead oxides into the atmosphere,
Right.
and these cause health problems and learning
Just like the greenhouse gases and stuff.
For the burning of the rubbish that was spoken about by Farmer, we can look at the introduction of incinerators, which would be the closed burning of the rubbish, and this will help reduce the smog over the Port of Spain area.
Because if you enclose it, the smoke will be collected, right? And you won't have the smoke going over into the atmosphere. It will go through probably pipelines and gas lines somewhere, and it'll be treated,
Yeah, and with respect to the sewage, we could open like biomass digesters, right? Which we take this sewage, we treat it chemically, we leave it to rot, it produces a gas, and we could use this gas to produce small amounts of electricity for like water heating and things.
So that'll help out, with energy that we need, like for heat and stuff like that.
And as Marlon also said with the incinerators produce a great quantity of heat. And it is possible for that heat to be converted to electricity. So waste disposal actually could sell that electricity to say TNT. But again, it's all a government thing, so they're actually making back the money that they invest in the incinerators.
Right, true. I suppose what I'd like to ask now, basically of all of you, is what can we tell, the guy on the street, the Beetham resident, those lavender dumpers, the real people that this thing affects, what can we tell them so that they'll be able to appease the situation? I mean, just suggestions right on the floor. What can we do?
I think firstly we could make them understand that it will affect their children. Might not affect them, but most importantly, their children are going to feel the whiplash from what they're doing right now.
As I just said, that when we went to do the taping, okay, Anil made an observation that there was a 14-year-old boy with more wrinkles on his face than my father, who is about 55 years old. Okay, so that you can see the extent of pollution, how the pollution has affected him. Okay.
Right, farmer does, I mean, these things serious. I mean, Mark, you have any suggestions in regards to health?
Well, yes, I will tell them not to dump all the rubbish and stuff into the river and stuff, and try to wait till the garbage truck comes and
with regards to exposure to these gases and stuff, I mean, people should try to avoid these areas.
Try to avoid like the highways and
try to avoid going in those places. Well, I know this topic has been great in discussing it. It's been exciting. Once again, we've run out of time, and it's almost a disappointment. This can be expanded so much. I'd like to thank you all for giving the public this information that they can use, and maybe they could tell the relevant authorities so that they can solve these problems that face us.